All right, we are live again. I'm on the road traveling to Atlanta, and Nick Smith had a great talk with him yesterday and had an open slot. And so anyway, wanted to bring him on the Daily Parks and Rec show. We're live every day, every weekday, Monday through Friday, uh, 12 noon Eastern. We had to go a little earlier today because I completely forgot about the time difference. Me and Nick live in different time zones. But anyway, how are you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great, Craig. Thanks for having me on the show today. Really excited to talk about Newaygo County.
Yeah. He's got so many good things. I know a lot of times parks departments are struggling with recovering the cost of running their whole department. And so we're going to talk a lot about that because I think he's doing an exceptional job. When you see what he's doing, how he's turned his park system around, I think this is some of the most valuable content that we can put out there for park and rec directors looking to recover costs. But before we get started on that, I wanted to highlight one of the career path commercials that our videographers have made for the Daily Parks and Rec show. And this is for use of any park and rec director that has high schoolers that's doing an orientation for their, summer workers for either camp counselors or concession stands or lifeguards. These kids, especially the juniors in high school, are at a point in their life where they're really starting to consider, what am I going to do? What major am I going to pursue? What college am I going to go to? And right now, unfortunately, Parks and Recreation is stuck in this what's called a discovery major category, which means you discover that it's even a major or a thing to do halfway through your college career or even after graduation. And so as a result, attendance in a lot of these universities that have great Parks and Rec programs, which Nick can speak a little bit about that because he attended Michigan, which was, he said, one of the strongest. And so we want to get, I'm going to start reaching out to professors and people that are running these programs inside the universities because, we want high school kids to consider it early on. And so we wrote we made a little promo. So if you go on our YouTube channel, you can find these under career and you can play them, use them. You don't need there's no rights on them. You don't owe us anything. We're just trying to help, raise awareness around the industry itself. So we're going to let's play Hannah's. Hannah made this one, was a really good one. It's about a minute long, and then we'll jump back in with Nick and go over cost recovery. So here we go.
Hi there. Have you ever stopped to think about the magic of parks? The laughter of kids on a swing, the joy of family picnics, or even the peaceful moments on a hiking trail? What if you could be the one creating those moments? Imagine a career where you get to design vibrant spaces, host exciting events, and protect the beauty of nature for everyone to enjoy. Parks and Recreation isn't just a job, it's a chance to leave your mark on the world and create memories that last a lifetime. Did you know that colleges across the U.S. offer amazing degrees to help you launch a career in Parks and Recreation? From urban planning to environmental conservation, these programs equip you to make a real impact in your community. Parks and Recreation professionals across America are building legacies and transforming lives. Now it's your turn. Want to know more? Head to our YouTube channel, The Daily Parks and Rec Show, where we share stories, advice, and inspiration from those shaping our parks and communities. Don't miss out. Follow us, subscribe, and join the movement.
All right. So if ever y'all want to use any of those, there's 3 or 4 of them on the YouTube channel. Feel free to take them, play them in front of high schoolers, hopefully plant some seeds so that we can, maybe the next Nick Smith is a high schooler right now watching this, and he's your next camp counselor. So, all right, Nick, I wanted to go into, well, actually, while we just got off of that topic, can you tell us a little bit about your college experience? Because you said you had a really good college experience at Michigan.
Yeah, so I attended Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. And like you kind of talked about at the beginning of the show, it very much is a discovery major. The only reason I learned about Parks and Rec as a career and as a educational opportunity, I got my first job working in a park at the city of Rochester Hills in Metro Detroit. And my supervisor at the time, Chris, actually had his diploma on the wall from Central Michigan University. where he went to school for Parks and Rec. So I kind of started a conversation with him about, hey, what is that? Because I always knew that I wanted to get a bachelor's degree in something. And at the time I was going to community college, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Funny backstory, I took a career test that kind of tells you what career you should go into. And I remember laughing. It said I should be a boat captain or a park ranger. And I kind of just laughed.
Nice.
What does that even mean? You know? Then here I am a couple years later, working in a city park and just loving every minute of it. So I talked to Chris. He kind of explained the program to me. And then I talked to our director at the time, Mike Hartner. He actually went to Michigan State University. So I did some research, and at the time, Central Michigan had the second largest recreation program in the country, which was very exciting to me. So I reached out to them, talked to Bob Dvorak, who ended up being my academic advisor, and had a great conversation. Ended up transferring to Central Michigan University in 2009, and I finished off my bachelor's degree there. I got a degree in, my focus is outdoor and environmental recreation. And then my minor was in natural resources. It was a great program. I learned a lot. Like I said, I was working in a city park before I even found out about that. So as soon as I transferred over, the first thing I did was I reached out, I found a work study program with Isabella County Parks and Recreation, because I knew that I really wanted to do Parks and Rec as a career, and it was really important to learn from people in the field that have been doing it for a long time. I secured that work study position while I was attending classes. And then in the summers, I started working for Isabella County. Learned a lot from them, Mike and Sue Ann. It was a great learning experience. Worked for them as a gate attendant, worked for them as a park manager after I graduated. So yeah, it's just kind of a full circle experience, doing parks while going to school for parks. And,
right.
I highly recommend Central Michigan's program to anyone that's looking to get in the field of Parks and Rec.
And who did you say was your professor that was really good there?
Yeah, Bob Dvorak. He's the current academic advisor for the outdoor rec majors. Tim Ottoman's the chairperson of the department right now. So I'd recommend, if you guys want to learn anything about the program, just call up the Central Michigan's RPL department. They call Recreation, Parks and Leisure Services Administration, and talk to those folks.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a good university in Michigan that has a great program. Bob and Tim are kind of running that thing, and we're going to reach out to Tim and see if we can get him on the program to tell us a little bit more about it. Maybe even get some of his students on here that are currently enrolled. But that's a great career path if you're interested in Parks and Rec, interested in making a difference, leaving a legacy. When I say leave a legacy, you're building stuff that's going to last hundreds of years. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about. Is Nick had a crazy good trail, 45 miles long, that took him 6 years start to finish to complete. And I wanted him to take us through that kind of journey of what it's like, and how it's just going to be something that you could probably look back right before you pass on from this planet, that's still rocking and rolling and going, because y'all build stuff that's just what I love about Parks and Rec people is they think almost in 100-year time frames. Like, what am I need to build something that's going to last 100 years in this city. But now let's start talking about cost recovery. Now to frame it a little bit, you had said that when you got here, you were making the Parks Department was bringing in about $500,000, correct?
Correct. Yes. The annual revenue was about $500,000. So kind of step back and talk a little bit more about Newaygo County Parks Department as a whole. We're a self-funded organization, which means we don't receive any millage dollars, any tax dollars from the general fund, like majority of Parks and Rec departments around the country do. So when I say self-funded, that means everything that we have to spend, we bring in through campsite reservations.
And it's always been that way from the beginning?
It's always, well, I don't know from the beginning if it was that way, but ever since I had started in the recent history prior to my starting, it had been that way. I don't believe they've ever had a parks millage here. So that time I took over, it was a complete rebuild of the department from the ground up, which thankfully I have a great supervisor, Chris Wren, county administrator. He's been amazing to work for. A great Parks Commission. Doug Harmon, board chair, has been by my side the whole time, making it happen. So great supportive group of folks here. So we've been able to take a department that was bringing in about 550,000 in revenue and spending just about that much in expense. So even at that point, right, you're covering your full cost of
Yeah.
running the department. So right there is successful to begin with, right?
Yeah.
So where we're at now, we're bringing in almost $1 million a year, and we're able to financially handle about $100,000 in capital improvements a year just from bringing in the revenue we do. For instance, back then we basically cover our cost. In 2021, we were really shy and kind of timid after COVID. So we said, okay, let's pump the brakes a little bit. We still did 82,000 in capital improvements that year. But with kind of pausing expenditures, we brought in 165,000 after expense. And when we bring in revenue after expense, we immediately reinvest that into our park system. So in the past 8 years, we've been able to reinvest 840,000 into capital improvement projects, and that's not anything we got with a grant. That's just complete revenue that we've reallocated after expense to the park. So we've been able to improve campsites, add boat launches. We're building a new marina. So there's a lot of great stuff all together. We've seen our usership, like everybody else around the country, increase by 171%. When I took over and started working with the Parks Commission, we had 90,000 visitors. Now we have about 246,000 visitors a year.
Yeah. And one thing I wanted to kind of highlight is I talk every day to Parks and Rec directors. We often end up on cost recovery. I know cost recovery is a huge hot topic. I think a lot of people are operating to where they're recovering 1%, 2%, 6% is doing great. Really good is 20% cost recovery. And here you are recovering over 100% of what y'all spend. And so it reminds me, I don't know if you've ever seen that what was that series called Band of Brothers? You remember that World War II?
Yeah.
And so in the Battle of the Bulge, they had all this whole column of American Army troops heading away because they knew that they were getting ready to pinch the supply chain off, and they were going to be cut off from food, ammunition, whatever, and they were all beat up heading out. So they're heading away from the front line. And then you've got the Band of Brothers heading in the opposite direction, grabbing like grenades and ammo heading in. And they're like, y'all are crazy. What are you doing? They're like, you're going to get cut off. And they're like, we're airborne. We're cut off when we step out of the plane. And so it's the different mentality of people that are used to a never-ending stream of tax revenue, trying to recover a little bit. And then you've got like airborne guys like Nick here that never had that and have found a way to flourish in an environment where you have to go get every dollar to pay your expenses, or the dollar's just not there. So I think there's such a valuable lesson to understand how you operate, because it's just such a different framework, and how you were able to double that revenue just in your time period. You were there 6 or 8 years. Do I remember correctly?
Yeah, 8.5 years this month. So
yeah. So tell us, what did you do? What are some of the things that you found? So like on your day one, what was the State of the Union when you were at 500,000? And then maybe bring us through the journey on things you did to increase that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest, it's very much a business mindset, right? So while we are providing a service for our residents and visitors, we also have to have that business mindset when it comes to the financials. So, it all kind of boils down to customer service. So when I first started, I brought my new travel trailer and I pulled up into the campground and I camped in the campground to see what it was like for the customer. And then I had meetings with our seasonal campers. Half of our campers are seasonal campers, and just really got out there, sat around campfire with some folks, that have been there for a long time. What do you like? What do you not like? And really kind of getting the pulse of our customer and seeing what they like, what they don't like, what they want to see happen. And then kind of bringing that back to the Parks Commission and started working on a plan. So from the beginning, it's kind of just been an open conversation with the customer. And then through my park managers, they interact with the customer every day where I normally can't. And just always kind of talking to them, seeing what they want. So we really focused on improvements that had a high return on investment. Obviously, we have to have that business mindset. So the biggest thing the customer wanted at the beginning is just, we need better electrical hookups. We need more amenities in the campgrounds. A lot of our parks had old 20 amp plugins, and anybody who works in campgrounds, everyone's got big rigs with 2 air conditioners now.
Right.
So we really focus on those electrical upgrades, and
that's the 50 amp 220s that the big rigs hook up to.
50 amp 220. But at the same time, looking at the atmosphere in our campgrounds, there was one campground in particular that was kind of a party park, which party parks have, their place in the Parks and Rec world. But I think what our customers really wanted was to get back to that family-friendly atmosphere. So we really focused on that. We kind of worked on our park ordinance and rules and enforcement. We were able to really turn that park around to somewhere that families wanted to come to.
Yeah.
And looking at the park in particular, it's been pretty substantial turnaround in that park. And, the next thing we did is we sent a survey out to our customers. We sat down at the board table. I took all that feedback from the customers, the park managers. I worked with the Parks Commission to put a list together of all improvements that we've heard over the years that people may want, improvements that we might want to see in the parks. And then we took that and we sent it out to our customers in a survey, and we had them prioritize those projects. And what we found was kind of opposite of some of us thought we would get. Last year, one of the projects we did was a Wi-Fi. We installed Wi-Fi at a campground.
Nice.
And what we found with the user feedback was they wanted that because a lot of the campers there were remote workers. And if they had the ability to have strong high-speed Wi-Fi, they would stay longer. So,
oh, nice.
So we've been finding a lot of good projects.
What's that worth to you? Like a big rig with a family, stay in a couple of days. Have y'all done any kind of economic impact or study of what each one brings in revenue?
I have not done one specifically to campgrounds. We did one with the Dragon Trail, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
They project $4 million into the local economy. But if you think our local population is about 50,000 and we're bringing 246,000 people to the area every year, that's pretty substantial impact any way you look at it.
So basically you're trying to create a magnet that basically says, come here,
absolutely,
do your recreation, spend your money, fuel, groceries, everything. Because I remember when we used to go camping with the kids, we would probably be loading up $500 to $1,000 worth of stuff right somewhere in the closest city, whether it was firewood, bacon and eggs and breakfast and everything, that we just loading up the RV. And then we would go to a place like you have, and then pay whatever fees we had there. But we were fueling up, we were doing everything right there. And we would spend 2, 3, 4 days living remotely in your campgrounds.
Yeah. And that's the big thing for Newaygo County is our economy is tourism based. So we want to draw people here. We want Newaygo County Parks to be a safe, clean, and fun place, to be people's home base while they're here in Newaygo County. Then we want them to go out during the day, go have lunch, go have breakfast, buy their groceries, go rent a boat, go fishing, go mountain biking. We want them to spend their money here in our local businesses. And also, too, we're seeing folks with the Dragon Trail that are just falling in love with the area and buying homes. They're starting businesses. So really, Newaygo County Parks role is just having that home base for folks to feel comfortable to be here, stay here in a pleasant place, so they can explore our local area.
Is the Dragon Trail finished?
Yes, the Dragon Trail's finished.
How long has it been available for use?
Yeah, so actually, as we built it in phases, we opened segments as we built it over the last 6 years. So the Dragon Trail's official name is Michigan's Dragon at Hardy Dam. And what it is, it's a 45-mile long natural surface trail around a hydroelectric impoundment called Hardy Pond. That pond is 40,000 acres. It's very large.
Quite a pond. I think that it's outside the definition of a pond.
Yeah, technically it's part of the Muskegon River. But it, Hardy Dam's the third largest earthen dam in the country.
Wow.
110 feet tall from top to bottom. So it's pretty impressive.
How many megawatts does that thing generate, or do you know?
Well, I wish I knew, but it's pretty impressive. And
wow.
I definitely recommend everyone come check it out.
And so y'all did that as somewhat of an attraction that you knew if you helped develop it, this would bring more people into, and it would amplify the momentum that y'all already had building on top of it. When did y'all start to see the revenue from that kick in?
So kind of circling back just a little bit. So that project actually started well before I started here in 2016 with, so when I say it's on a hydroelectric impoundment, Consumers Energy is the company that owns that property. So West Michigan Mountain Biking Alliance actually picked up the project, received the idea from one of our township supervisors, and worked with Newaygo and Mecosta County to get that project moving forward. So they worked on the environmental assessment, economic impact study, which when they did that, that's really what kind of geared that project to move forward. They found that it'd bring about at least 40 jobs to our local area and $4 million to our local economy every year.
What jobs are associated with that?
Just in the tourism industry, and then creating new businesses. We have a gentleman that just purchased properties, building a campground that's kind of mountain bike centered.
Nice.
And then we've got some folks looking at opening bike shops. We see the home values around the trail increase pretty significantly.
I actually, I don't know if you're familiar with Eureka Springs, Arkansas, but in the Ozarks, they also, the Waltons invested a ton of money in exactly what you're talking about. And it was amazing how many bike shops and like little boutique hotels just popped up out of nowhere because these mountain bikers came from all over the world, really, for these world-class mountain bike trails, which sounds exactly like what you're building. And so if you go to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, in that area, you could probably see what your future is going to look like. It's amazing, the economy that has centered around these few bike trails like the ones that y'all just finished building.
Yeah, and we really look at the Dragon as a complement to what we already have. We have some of the best trout and salmon fishing in Michigan. We have the Muskegon River. We have the White River. We have some amazing boating facilities and campgrounds already, just centered around all the water we have. We have over 230 lakes in Newaygo County, some major rivers. So it's just another user base that's coming in, and not only mountain bikers, but it's also open for hiking. We also groom it in the winter for fat tire biking, cross country skiing, and then most recently, which was exciting to see, singletracks.com, one of the largest publications for off-road bicycling, they named it the best new backcountry trail in the United States for 2024.
Really?
So I think we're really going to see, we already have about 100,000 people that we've counted on the trail with our infrared trail counting system. I think we're going to far surpass that number next year, which is really exciting.
So is this your first full year of operation complete, or last year was?
Yeah. So that 100,000 numbers on probably only a half year, less than a full year open.
Oh, wow.
Completely. So we did the official ribbon cutting at the end of September. Prior to that, we were finishing up segment 7, which is probably the coolest segment in my opinion. We have a lot of rock armoring, a lot of bridges, a lot of really cool stuff up there. But that was a 10-mile long segment that we didn't have open. So majority of those trail users were using partial areas of the trail. So I'm really excited to see what happens next year with the trail numbers.
Yeah. And so let's just say you're advising someone who, let's say, has a tax base, but they're in the cost recovery mindset. What advice would you give someone? Here's like 3 major points you want to consider coming from someone who has to survive 100% off of, like, there is no tax savior coming your way. It's either you don't.
I think the first thing any business owner does is look at your expenses, right? See, is there anything that you're purchasing or using that you could get at a better price point? One thing we did was we decided we're going to go out for multi-year contracts. So like our mowing contract or spring cleanup contracts. Previously we did the in-house, but our equipment at the time, we didn't have the equipment to do it as well as a contractor would. So we found it was actually cheaper to have a contractor do that stuff for us at the time.
Mhm.
So we had immediate cost savings right off the bat. We didn't need as many seasonal folks anymore to do that. We were able to put them to work in other areas in our park system that gave better customer service. So looking at your expenses, I'm a big fan of multi-year contracts. I think that's a great way to lock in really good prices for different things, be it propane, septic services, mowing, spring cleanup. Then the next thing is just talking to your customer. They're going to tell you what they like and what they don't
Yeah.
like.
Well,
You just gotta be able to
can you say a little more about multi-year contracts?
Yeah. So basically, what we do is like everybody has, those costs like septic services, right? So campgrounds, we all have septic tanks for the most part. It has to be pumped out. So what we did is we put together a contract where we want to make it lucrative for the businesses to bid on those because they know they have multiple years that they're going to get paid, and what enables them to give us a better price. Like right now, we're paying 15 cents per gallon to get our septic tanks pumped out. And that contractor knows that's a guaranteed paycheck for the next 3 years. So that's a little bit more lucrative to them to give a better price. Also, when it comes to propane, we're locked in at an incredible rate. In fact, our 3-year contract just ended, and we just had a conversation with them and say, "Hey, your service has been great. If you can keep the same price, let's go another 3 years." And they did. So I don't know anybody that's had the same price on propane for 6 years, but that's where we're at.
Wow.
And it kind of goes back to that multi-year. It's beneficial for the business, but it's also beneficial to the parks on the cost saving side.
Oh yeah. I know that, I've been an entrepreneur my whole life, and I used to be a master electrician for a
Mhm.
couple of decades. And anytime we could sign a multi-year contract service agreement, something like that, we would give massive discounts because
Mhm.
at least for that revenue stream, you don't have to worry about marketing and sales and churn rate dollars, which are massive on a
Mhm.
commercial endeavor. It's like if you've got to fund a sales force for 5 years and marketing for 5 years and losing customer for 5 years, or one customer says, "Nope, I will sign a contract that I will be your client. You don't have to service me aside from just providing the service." There's no sales component, which is typically 20%.
Mhm.
Most companies budget 20% for nothing but sales and marketing. And so if a county can come to you and said, "Yeah, delete that 20%, I'll sign a 5-year agreement," um, a lot of companies will give you that 20% because you've just
Yeah.
taken that burden off of their company. And so 100% agree with this multi-year agreement stuff. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think another example we saw when we got in the spring cleanup, there was some really nice equipment out there, and our local folks that won that contract, they were able to actually, because they had that guaranteed contract, they were actually able to invest into their company and buy that specialty equipment for spring cleanups, and now they're doing even more spring cleanup jobs. So
Nice.
um, when we do those multi-year contracts, we really focus on, and we give a preference to our local contractors first. The county procurement policy gives a 5% advantage to our local contractors. So I think
Oh,
that's
that's
really
neat.
important too. Whether you get taxpayer money or not for your organization, it's very important to support your local contractors whenever possible. If your financial policies are set up in that fashion, I definitely recommend that.
Yeah, now when did that come into play? Is that something y'all saw when in your tenure, or was that set up before you got there?
That was set up before I got here. So right now we have a 5% advantage for in-county contractors, and then there's a 2% advantage for in-state. So if we were to bid and everybody bid and there's one in-state and multiple out-of-state, that in-state would get a 2% advantage over the
Mm.
out-of-state. So I think that was just something that the Newaygo County Board of Commissioners thought was very important. And I commend them for making that
Yeah.
policy. But that was
Yeah,
the purpose.
that's such a great concept. And then a lot of these people would be camping and pouring
Correct.
that money back into the local economy, maybe using some of y'all services, sitting on the trail and stuff. So, yeah, anytime you can keep it local, that's gonna be good for any organization like what you're running.
Mhm.
Okay, we are at the halfway point, and I wanted to, we made another commercial. So this is a way that you can help fund the Parks and Rec show, the Daily Parks and Rec show. We are a team of digital artists, content creators. We make short films for the Daily Parks and Rec Show. And then we also manage social media. So if you have a project like Nick has and you just want to get the word out, or you want a little short 60-second to be created so you can use it to raise awareness and get attention about a special event or a farmer's market or a Christmas parade or a festival that you have that might be a big revenue generator, or at least you're putting all this money and effort and time into an event and you just want it to be well attended, you really got to start to invest in your social media year round so that you have a community that's paying attention to all the stuff that Parks and Recreation offers to a community, which is an endless stream of, league ball events, like farmers markets and festivals. And the new way to communicate is social media. And so this is what we specialize in. We had no idea that this could be a major revenue source for us. We just needed all this talent to launch the Daily Parks and Rec Show. But as it turns out, a lot of cities have been reaching out to us, wanting us to help them manage their social media. So if that's something we can do, reach out to us. We can work with you just for a few $100s, and that goes a long ways to be able to support the channel. So this is, let's see, I'm going to play Hannah's. I think she won. No, actually, I'm going to play Trixie's because I played Hannah's the other day. So this is a little commercial that they made to help understand how you can work with us and social media and content creation. So here we go.
Are you struggling to get the word out about your parks and recreation programs and events? You work hard to create activities that bring people together, but if no one knows about them, attendance stays low and engagement suffers. Traditional marketing methods aren't enough, and managing social media can be overwhelming. That's where we come in. Introducing the Daily Parks and Rec Show, your partner for professional promotional videos and social media management tailored for parks and recreation departments. With our help, you'll get high-quality content that connects with your community, increases participation, and builds lasting relationships. We'll showcase your events, highlight your parks, and make sure your message is seen and heard. By working with us, you'll amplify the impact of your programs and drive stronger community engagement. Let's work together to showcase the incredible work you're doing. Contact us today to get started.
All right. So with that commercial in mind, how do y'all get the word out to just everything y'all have? Because, getting attendance is vital for y'all to be able to generate the revenue y'all need to get.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that has evolved over time as well. I mean, when I first started, I just started joining camping Facebook groups in Michigan and organically just creating posts with our social media. I think we had about 2,000 followers on Facebook, and just that organic reach, highlighting a project we're doing or taking a picture out in the park and just sharing that to all those different camping communities online. That was huge for the first couple of years. Right now, we have a little bit over 10,000 followers on Facebook, which I'm very excited about.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then the next step was really, we have a tourism council in Newaygo County, which I'm a part of as the treasurer, and just working directly with them, the county and the county parks, both invest into the tourism council. And what their goal is just to get the word out about Newaygo County. So the first couple of years, we've been focusing at the tourism council level on creating asset development like maps. We have the North Country National Scenic Trail that runs through Newaygo County. It runs from Vermont to North Dakota. So getting a good map on the North Country Trail, mapping some of our rivers like the Muskegon River, which has some of the best trout and salmon fishing anywhere. I see license plates from all over the country down there when the steelhead are running every year. So getting the word out by creating those assets so people can take those maps and those documents and say, hey, wow, I didn't know Newaygo County had all that. So if you're interested in learning more about Newaygo County, check out NewaygoCountyExploring.com. Check out what we have to offer. But really working with them and through the Tourism Council, we've worked with Brandon and Shannon at Right Side Design Group, who helps the Tourism Council do their social media marketing and that. So kind of working with the Tourism Council, we were able to do some giveaways So to get the word out about the parks, we do a contest through their page, and we give a free weekend stay at a cabin, and then just promoting people's experience in their parks. Hey, this is the first person in for the year. Congratulations, glad to see you back. Kind of
Right.
getting that engagement at social media level. One year we actually had a social media marketing campaign, and we really focused on our camping cabins, which is a really interesting story. We work with our local trade school that all our high schoolers go to, and with help from the Fremont Area Community Foundation, the building trades students actually build the camping cabins. And how we do that is the foundation pays for the materials. The students learn hands-on construction. They build 2 a year, and then the county parks would actually pay to have those moved on site, furnished, installed with all the hookups and everything.
I love it. What a great idea.
It was such a cool program. We're coming to the end of that. They're actually transitioning to tiny homes now, which is exciting because like a lot of places, it's hard to find a place to live in Newaygo County because it's so awesome. Everyone wants to move here, right? So they're moving to tiny homes after this next grant cycle.
Fantastic. Let me see if I can repeat that back accurately for the audience, because this is a powerful move here. So I would think every city, every community has these local trade schools that teach carpentry, electrical work, plumbing work, AC work, HVAC work. I used to be an electrician, and we would help. I used to teach at one of these, and I learned to be an electrician from one of these. And so every community has them somewhere, and so what y'all did is y'all went and found them and said, "Hey, we'll buy the material. Can we have your class, your students, build these essentially tiny homes, because they're cabins? The cabin pretty much is a tiny home, correct?"
Yep.
And then they would move them on site, and then y'all would furnish them, versus having a contractor, which would probably be, if I had to guess, double the cost.
Yeah.
Plus you're investing in your local school, you're giving them a project. And I don't know what y'all's, so maybe you can tell us y'all's economy, but a buddy of mine had a much smaller setup than y'all around a lake in Arkansas. And I think they charged $60 a night for a little tiny home that had like a little mountain place to put a mountain bike, and just had air conditioning and 2 beds. And roughly that's about it. And they built 10 of them. I think they paid $4,000 a piece. And then they were making, 12 to 1,800 a month off of each of these. So it was like literally 2 or 3 months they were paid for, and then they were just cash cows. Is y'all similar to that, or how did that work out?
Yeah. So the program actually started before I started here at Newaygo County. So it was well underway. We're in our second grant round. So at the time it would cost, the foundation would invest about $15,000 per cabin into materials. The students would actually build it on site at the school. And it costs about another $15,000 to the county parks to move those on site. Now we have 18 of them. So we actually transitioned to other departments. So our township campgrounds and our city campgrounds are actually helping with the program now. They're taking cabins into their places.
Nice.
The cabins are just awesome. They're fully finished inside. They don't have a bathroom, but they have 2 bunks, a futon that folds down.
Yeah.
The heaters work so good that you almost don't want to turn them on sometimes because it gets so warm in there.
Yeah.
And I think the coolest part is, being so many years into the program, each cabin has a plaque with the name of every single student that helped build that cabin.
Oh, that's cool.
And the really cool thing to me and the instructors that work on it is we're now getting folks that have graduated high school. They're coming back and renting the cabin they helped build and showing their kids, hey, you guys can go to school in Fremont and do this too.
Right.
It's just amazing to see it come full circle.
That's such a community event like that. That's a great story. What a great story.
Yeah.
And then these cabins are sitting in a place that they'll probably be there for, till they fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're so well built.
Yeah.
We charge about 70, I think it's 75 a night. When we talk about pricing in the county parks, we don't want to be the cheapest, but we don't want to be the highest either.
Right.
We want to give everybody a pretty
good price. I mean, it's cheaper than any hotel, and y'all have way better amenities.
Yeah. So yeah, the cabins are a great addition to the parks.
Yeah. And so now y'all are sitting at, y'all went from $500,000 to $1 million. And so and I know you're leaving, but what's and we're going to talk about that because there's a job position open to take
Yeah.
Nick. He's handing the baton over the torch. But what's their next 5 years look like to maybe grow it even more?
The next 5 years are phenomenal. I'm so excited about the next 5 years for whoever does take my position. So right now, we finished the Dragon Trail. We have 100,000 more park users in our parks. We're projecting that campsite reservations are going to continue to increase. With the success of the Dragon Trail, we've actually transitioned into another project that's well underway. We have local support for funding, but we've taken over a marina, and on Hardy Pond, it was essentially falling apart. And so we've been able to take that over. I was able to go out with my pen and paper with Doug from the Parks Commission, some other folks, and kind of walk the docks that were kind of falling apart. And we came up with this great design. And working with the Disability Network of West Michigan, we really talked about there's not a great place right now for somebody that's in a wheelchair or has a physical disability to get on a boat, get on the water, and have a day, enjoying the boating world. And boating is such a big thing in Newaygo County. So what we're able to do is we've designed a facility where if you are handicapped and you have a boat or you just want to go out with your friend, you'll be able to get out, park there, get right to the dock. We're going to have a lift to help you get on a boat if you need that.
Wow.
The docks at the boat launch itself is a 2-lane boat launch, would be handicap accessible. The slips would be seasonal slips. So the first 3 slips will be fully handicap accessible boat slips. So we're really excited about this project. And the next park director is going to come on. Design will be complete and kind of walk that to the finish line with their engineers. So it's just an amazing opportunity for someone to step in here in Newaygo County. And like I said, we have local support for funding on that. Design phase is complete. So, and with that, we're continuing to improve the parks. We generally do about 100,000 a year in capital improvements in our parks to just, upgrade electrical, add new playgrounds, anything that our customers are really looking at. This year, we're kind of focused on some renovations in bathhouses. We have some older bathhouses and, increasing, hot water tanks, redoing floors, kind of sprucing those up. Because that's what the customer wants right now. So it's exciting.
Do you have a camp store?
We don't yet. So that's one thing that we're in talks about with the Dragon being so popular. My counterpart, Jeff in Mecosta County, we're looking at getting some merchandise off the ground for folks that explore the Dragon, and kind of coupling that conversation with the Parks Board is how do we start, right, kind of a camp store type thing, be it a online purchase or in store. So that's an exciting project that
and maybe I can get you in touch with my guys in Eureka Springs, but they had a little boat launch that they got and a few cabins around it. And he started a camp store that a high schooler just mans, around the clock. And they started selling fishing lures, obviously the junk food like you'd find at a gas station, and then the firewood, and that thing makes bank. Because nobody brings firewood. And so they're selling firewood constantly. They're selling Snickers and chips and all kind of bacon and eggs and stuff like that.
Interesting enough, we have our kind of our resident party store right up the road from our marina. Is if you want to order something, a pizza or some soda pop or ice, you pull up the Hardy Marina ramp, and they'll bring it right down to you from the party store.
Oh, nice.
So it's very lucrative if you have that.
It really is. Essentially, it looks like he's running a concession stand nonstop, football or baseball field concession stand that sells firewood and fishing lures and stuff like that.
We have some folks. So there's a very large boat party every year called Hot Boat. Thousands of people come to it, and pretty regularly we'll have folks that have their boat set up to sell hot dogs and stuff. So I've seen that out on the water too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So, and I wanted to, when I started the Parks and Rec Done Right Facebook page, which is how all this started, it ended up, we just wanted to hang out with each other because we were all caged in our home for 2020 during COVID. And, but it ended up turning into a place where people would say, hey, we're in need. A position has opened up for Park and Rec Director. If anybody's available, or please submit resumes or stuff like that. And so I wanted to make that kind of part of it. So just for anybody listening, like Nick, if y'all are transitioning to another county or another park system and you really want to leave it in good hands or just help get the word out, please let us know, come on the show and do what Nick is getting ready to do. So Nick, why don't you pitch for Newaygo County Park? Give us a sales pitch on taking the torch from you.
Yeah. And then I tell you what, I've been here 8.5 years. I have some of the best supervisors, board members, county commissioners I could ever ask for. So really, I mean, the next person that stepping in at a perfect time. The park system is in great standing financially, operationally. We have great staff here. So I'll read a little bit here from the job description, just to give a little bit better picture of what's going on here for the next person. So like kind of talked about at the beginning here, the Newaygo County Park System spans a total of 768 acres. It's rapidly expanding to meet the needs of our 246,000 annual visitors. With 4 campgrounds, we offer 392 campsites, 18 camping cabins, along with 2 marinas and 113 boat slips. The system provides a wide range of outdoor recreational opportunities. The highlight of our park system, which we talked about a little earlier, is Michigan's Dragon at Hardy Dam. You can go to the dragon.us to learn more about that. That's a 45-mile long trail, recently named Best Backcountry Trail in the United States for 2024 by Single Tracks magazine. This fast-paced growth reflects the park system's commitment to providing diverse, accessible, and high-quality outdoor experiences. Newaygo County's tourism-driven economy thrives, with the county parks offering visitors safe, clean, and fun, exciting experiences. A fully self-funded through user fees, the park system has a budget of over $1 million annually, allowing for large-scale improvements each year. And like I mentioned before, our biggest project right now is the ADA accessible marina. And that's going to be a state-of-the-art thing. Super excited. So I encourage anybody, when I transitioned to Newaygo County Parks, I was working with Metro Parks of Butler County down in Ohio. It was a great park system. I was a senior park manager at the time. So I was in charge of like the West Zone. So we had about 20 properties, 1 little campground. So when I read through the job description, even though it said Parks Director, I was reading through the job duties, and I was like, I kind of already do a lot of that down here. So I think that this project, obviously for director right now, it's perfect. Come on over, get the application in. But I also want to encourage anybody that's at that level in their career. So if you're managing multiple parks, this would be a great next step in your career to come up here in Newaygo County. Like I mentioned before, check out NewaygoCountyExploring.com. Learn about how awesome it is to live and work here in Newaygo County. And I'm excited to see who takes my spot. I think they're going to have a great time. I know they're going to have a great time. And the support of their supervisor, Chris, is this amazing supervisor. And then our board, we have a county parks commission with 10 folks on it, super supportive, great folks. And then our board of commissioners, they love the county parks. And they're very supportive of the parks director position. So
maybe describe just the beauty and the landscape and just the part of the country that you're in, because I think that's a big selling point. Just you get to live where Nick is right now. It's stunning.
You live where everybody goes on vacation. So Newaygo County is the 3rd largest county in Michigan. It's just 1 county over from Lake Michigan, which is, if you know anything about the Great Lakes, amazing area for tourism. Half of Newaygo County is actually national forest land. So while you're only an hour north of one of the biggest cities of Michigan, you're really you're what we call here up north. You're out in the woods and stuff if you want to be. We have the North Country National Scenic Trail. We have premier trout and salmon fishing on our rivers, over 230 lakes. We have, I personally love snowmobiling. Right across, I'm looking out the window here to my maintenance shop where the snowmobile trail starts. I regularly ride out of there and hit the snowmobile trail. And then
that's not even a job. It's just a full-time vacation.
Yeah, I literally get out of work and I'll go hunting, go deer hunting if it's deer season, or if there's snow, I'll go snowmobiling or ice fishing. It's just, if
Wow.
you're an outdoors person, this is the place to live. I'm telling you. And
Wow.
I live in the city of Fremont. In the communities here, everybody's just so friendly.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't
I
believe
just
they pay you to do this job here.
right, like it's just
What?
an amazing opportunity for someone.
Yeah.
I
Now, what
encourage
is, are you allowed to say roughly pay and benefits or stuff like that? Or people need to apply on that?
Yeah, I can pull that up. And I don't know if you can post a link in this once you post the
Mhm.
job description. The pay is 58 to 69,000 a year. The
Mhm.
benefits are just phenomenal. I think that's something that a lot of people don't focus on when they look at positions, and they should.
Mhm.
Newaygo County, I believe, is one of the last, if not the only, um, county that offers a no-cost health insurance option,
Wow.
which means there's no payroll deduction coming out of your check for your
Oh,
health
that's
insurance.
huge. Typically,
And
what is the payroll deduction? Isn't that like a
so,
couple $100 a paycheck or
so
on
some
average?
places you can pay a pretty significant percentage of your paycheck towards health insurance. And I think
Mm.
that's something that people really need to take into account when they look at this position, because I talk to folks that pay almost 20% of their health
Wow.
insurance cost, and they
Yeah.
make they may make more or less in this position, but when you factor in that no cost health insurance, that is a very
Mhm.
lucrative thing
Oh,
to
yeah.
to
That can
have,
easily be a $4,000 to $6,000 a year,
if not more.
expense.
Yeah,
Yeah, if not
depending
more.
on where you currently work.
Right.
Other than that, they have a 401k match. They have longevity pay into a 457 account. Very generous um, PTO and holiday or vacation accrual policy. We're moving more to a front loaded. So at the beginning of the year, you get all your vacation and PTO up front, which we do right now. PTO, we're transitioning to for vacation, which is awesome. You can plan your kind of your life out for the year, right? And plan your
Right.
vacations a little easier.
Right.
So, and I think even the the more important thing is the culture of Newaygo County. I have never ran into anybody here that worked for the county that wasn't just pleasant and easy to work with. And a lot of times, depending on where you're at now, you might struggle interacting with different departments, and that's just not the case in Newaygo County.
Mhm.
Everybody just works as a team here. So it's just a phenomenal opportunity for someone to step in.
And what's the little towns and stuff that y'all look like that y'all live in?
Yeah, so there's some really cool ones. So we have Fremont, which is where I live. Actually, it's famous for Gerber baby food. It's where the original Gerber baby food factory
No way.
was started. Yeah, so a lot of really cool history in Fremont. White Cloud is just an amazing little town up on the White River.
Mhm.
Known historically, it's kind of been a logging town. A lot of logging took place here back in the day, and that's how it got started out. We have the city of Newaygo right on the Muskegon River, just a great place to visit and explore. We have Croton, which is where you have Hardy Dam, but then you have Croton Dam. So there's another impoundment below Hardy. So that's just a really cool place too. So check those out, and then NewaygoCountyExploring.com would be the place to go. And then I'll share the link with you, Craig, to the job posting
Yeah.
after this as well. So.
Yeah, and, Catlin, she's one of our editors that'll probably be editing this. Make sure you put that kinda links in the show notes so that people can see it. Man, we should do this more often. I've never really, had a full-on, pitch for a job position, which requires you to describe what you do, what you're walking into, the benefits, the salary, where you're gonna live, who you're gonna be working with. I'm so glad you just did that. We need to do that more often. So,
Yeah.
now where are
Well, I
you
think
headed?
it's really important, when you apply for a new job, it's always like, well, who am I going to work for? What's it going to be
Oh,
like?
absolutely.
It's just a big, gray area until you really get in there, and to
Yeah.
know that you're walking into a great culture, great team. That I think
Yeah,
that's huge.
yeah,
So
because sometimes it's just like a train wreck. You're
yeah,
walking
yeah,
into the person got fired for stealing.
right,
That's your day one, and everybody's
yeah.
cheers.
It's complete opposite here. So
You're leaving them in good hands.
yeah,
Man, I might be applying for that job. That
go
sounds
for
amazing.
it.
What, all right, so now where are you heading? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm heading to another Parks and Rec department in West Michigan. So it's a unique opportunity. A former supervisor of mine actually is the director there, and they create a new position. It's a coordinator position, kind of overseeing their indoor facilities, their winter operations. They have a new campground they're opening and a marina, and then just helping with their business operations. So being a much larger organization, I'm excited to get back to the kind of that larger organization feel. We're going for a millage renewal here in the next year, so just exciting
Mhm.
things on the horizon for me, and excited to work with my former supervisor again as well. He's also a really good one to work for. So
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, man, this has been such a great interview. I've really been excited to share everything that you've just your skill set and mastery around generating revenue for your park system because you kind of have to, like you don't have a
yeah,
choice. And I think it's just such a great framework to approach cost recovery from. And I think a lot of these towns just have always had this tax base. And of course,
yeah,
they can do a lot more and that kind of stuff, but I think every park director should put themselves in Nick's position, uh, try to walk in their shoes, at least do the mental experiment. And I think you're going to find that there's a lot of opportunity to raise funds, cut expenses, and it's easy stuff like that multi-year contract. I mean, that's something anybody can do,
right.
and there's always contracts on grass cutting, on event hosts or stages, stuff like that. And coming from the private sector, I can tell you it's huge when anyone would give me a 5-year agreement for something. I would slash massive cuts, and not just because I wanted the work. It actually saves a ton of money to the private. And then I love how you said, you give a 5% advantage to local contractors and stuff. I think that's huge because 'cause they're paying into this tax base, or they're attending a lot of your events, or, spending money at your parks anyway, so you should try to keep it local.
Yeah.
That's
And then the final thing I would like to mention is,
Yep.
being at a small agency here, we have 3 full-time employees, which includes myself. I think the biggest and most important thing anybody can do as a director or a new professional is really get involved with your state association. So I want to kind of let folks know, if you haven't already, if you're in Michigan, you need to check out MParks, join MParks.
Mhm.
I've learned probably more by networking with other directors than anything else in my career. So if you're in Michigan, check out MParks. We have our park conference coming up here in March. So, uh,
Mm.
and if you're not in Michigan, I was in Ohio. They have OPRA. Everybody's got some kind of association. So definitely check that out. You're gonna learn a lot. Like,
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. Typically, I do mention that on every show. These associations are just a wealth of knowledge and wisdom that's earned over 20 and 30-year careers, all showing up annually. These are people like Nick. Imagine Nick 20 years from now and sitting on top of that wisdom towards the end of his career, the amount of just tricks and hacks and little things he's learned to really squeeze out, the most out of every dollar and generate revenue and put a good team together and deal with adversity and launch massive 6-year long projects and stuff. And that's who you get to hang out with and not just professionally, but then socially. They always have a lot of good events socially. So you can hang out with these people and stay in touch with them throughout the year so that if you're launching some big, massive 45-mile long trail, it'd be nice to have Nick as a friend when
yeah,
you're doing it, because he can kinda show you the ropes and hand you the playbook that he used for his trail. And I see that go on all the time, and that's just a huge advantage and a huge cost savings because, I doubt, Newaygo County is going to open up another 45-mile long trail, but maybe they do. But at that point, let's say they do 2 or 3 more trails, all that wisdom is now no longer useful to them. And so, but it may be very valuable, crazy valuable to someone in Arkansas on the total other side of the country to have Nick's playbook and what they did just as a resource. And this is exactly the kind of stuff you find in these state associations going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So last thing, if you want to support the channel and you need LED lights for your little local baseball field, these are kind of like for practice fields. These are world-class lights that I designed. I sold them for a decade before I semi-retired from that company, which I owned, and started this podcasting media company, which I love. It's my new passion. But I had to come up with a way to fund all this. And right now there's 7 editors and social media managers and stuff. And so one of the ways we fund it, much like the Girl Scouts fund their little girls going on campgrounds with Girl Scout cookies, this is kind of our Girl Scout cookie. It's an LED light that's has a 10-year warranty, and it's made to hand to your local service guy or local electrician. Much like Nick bought the material for his cabins, you buy the lights and you get your electrician to put them up. They'll last 100,000 hours, which typically it's almost like a 40, 50-year light. And so if that's something that you need, please consider buying that from us, and we will plow all of those profits back into creating a media company for Parks and Recreation, to really highlight the stories of Nick, Newaygo County, the work they're doing, and really just to lift up the industry, because from what I'm seeing, there really isn't a media company. Unfortunately, we may be the first to have a full-blown staff of content creators, photographers, videographers that's telling the story of Parks and Rec. So you can help support that just by changing some of your buying habits to maybe buy LED lights, or even ask us to help you create a video or manage some social media. But Nick, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great. Appreciate it.
You're going to have to come back on once you get settled in your new job. And
I'd love to.
And then also maybe we can do a couple months from now, we can do like a panel between you and the guy or gal that takes your place in Newaygo County.
Yeah.
I think that might be fun.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming on, and hopefully this will be uploaded to YouTube in the next couple of days, so you can share it with your friends and family. And good luck on your new transition.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, take care.
You too.
Bye, Nick. Bye. All right, man, that was crazy good. I knew y'all were gonna love it when it came to. Oh, by the way, I got my little ride along here. I'm babysitting. That's Luna. This might be the only time she's on the show when she's like in the frame shop. She's got nowhere else to sit. I'm airing this live from up Tesla charging station in the Tesla on my way to Atlanta. Fingers crossed. We are working. We hit it off really well with the Atlanta Braves, because they want to invest more in community league baseball. They came on. I met Chad Parker in Alabama at the Alabama Parks and Rec annual convention in Auburn, which had a great time there. Saw him again in Mississippi, getting ready to see him again in Texas. I'm sorry, he's not going to be in Texas. I'm seeing another potential sponsor there. So anyway, I was like, look, I really want to support league ball, because according to the Major League Baseball team, the Atlanta Braves, one of the best brands in baseball, they are seeing a lot of kids get burnt out for this travel ball, and they are now doubling down on investing in community ball in 6 states. So that's in, I think it's Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, and I'm forgetting a state. I don't know if it's Virginia or it's somewhere around there, but I'll find out today. I've got a meeting with them at 2 p.m. at the big stadium in the heart of downtown Atlanta, and hopefully we can work together on raising awareness and investing in your local community baseball. Check them out. It's called Braves Country, and I think they're doing something special. So hopefully I can say more about that in the next few days. They'll come on to help sponsor the show. But even if they don't come on as a sponsor, I think what they're doing is phenomenal. I think investing in little kids playing baseball, catching that first ball, hitting your first home run when you're just a little kid. I was a terrible baseball player growing up, even though I ended up being a fairly decent college athlete. I was not good at baseball at all. But the little bit of time I played in 4th grade and 5th grade, I'll never forget. It was some of the best memories I had, just being on a team, putting on the uniform. And then I was the number one donut salesman. Sold Krispy Kreme donuts and practically paid for half the team to go to Astroworld and attend a Major League Baseball. It's the only Major League Baseball game I've ever been to when I was young was the Astros. And then we would go to Astroworld and Waterworld. And that was some of the highlight of my childhood, all happening in our local community, um, on the baseball fields right in the middle of our parks and recreation, which was right down the street from where I grew up as a kid in Port Allen, Louisiana. So shout out to Mr. Raggi, even though he's passed away, and shout out to Chris Ciani, who was my coach. Haven't seen him probably in 2 decades, but that meant a lot to me. And I would like to do my part with the Parks and Rec show to make more of that happen around this country, and to have a brand like the Atlanta Braves interested in your local parks in 6 states. We're also having a couple of phone calls with some other major league teams. And so maybe we can, change the way people view community baseball leagues, and maybe get more kids involved in that. And we think that's going to be a little bit healthier for them to thrive and not get so burnt out on one sport. So anyway, I'm hoping I can have them. And actually, I had 3 of the guys that work with them. And if you go onto the YouTube channel, look on where it says ARPA. That was the whole convention in Auburn. Thank you, Natalie, for letting us come. If you're in Texas, I will be in Texas in a few days. We will air this show live from Texas, and we've already got a bunch of interviews scheduled. But if you see us, if you want to hop on, say hello to everybody, tell us what's going on. Thank you for all the people in Texas, for all the hard work y'all are doing. And lastly, I will be closing this out with our little LED commercial that Chris made for us. He's one of our super talented video content creators. If you would like a video similar to what Chris did for our LEDs, because that's how we pay the bills for this channel. But if you've got a special event, a festival, a parade, you name it, we would love to create a video similar to this that you can then put on your website, you can put on your social media. And then I am working with a couple of photographers, but even if I tell you, one of the best things you can do if you want to promote your event, and which we would need to have if we're going to make you a really good video, is just think of that wedding photographer, wedding videographer that shows up to capture that day, that moment, that's once in a lifetime, say for the groom and the bride, for the family. That these photographers just have a way of capturing the moments. And so if you have a big parade or you have a big festival that's lasting a weekend, we would recommend, and we would want to work with you on this, that we hire a local or our photographer to show up and really capture the moment. And then with good photos and good videos, you hand that to the video editors, and they can work magic with it, and create something that has a super long shelf life. A great video of a great promotional video of your local festival or your local Fourth of July festival or Easter egg hunt. You can make one solid one, and this thing can last several years, have a super long shelf life. And you can use that to promote an event that you're probably sinking a lot of hours and a lot of money into putting on this event. And so there's nothing worse than having an event that you sink your teeth into and then nobody shows up. You're ready for 5,000 people and 1,000 show up. And so having these events being well attended is quite an economy for a lot of cities. Make a lot of recover a lot of park and rec costs through their events. And so I love the framework that Nick brought to the channel, brought to the community of Nick has to make every single dollar he spends. It has to be 100. They have to recover 100% of the cost, and he's typically recovering 110% of the cost. So many great lessons to learn from those of us that are running parks departments that have no tax helping us out. I think everyone, whether you get tax money or not, you should learn to think more like Nick. And then if you can just take yourself from, say, 5% cost recovery to 10% or 20%, that's a huge, huge difference. And then a lot of the stakeholders, whether it's your mayor or whether it's your, and actually this is another one we're going to get. We have another great cost recovery guy. He's going to come on the channel. I talked to him yesterday. Hold on, let me see who that is, because he was saying that guys really have to learn how to, he called it smooge the politicians, but essentially what he's saying is, this was Travis Barbie, who's Travis, I think you're having a baby today, so hopefully everything's all right. Your wife is having a baby. But he's going to come and tell us about how, showing them the data, showing them the economic impact, when you're trying to get funding. The worst time to ask for funding for a new project or a new park or whatever else that you're trying to do is when they don't even know what you're doing. But if you spend the year telling them, hey, here's what's going on, here's how many people attended, here's how many people spent the night in our city that were from out of town, and then after 6 months of feeding them the success stories, inviting them to the ribbon cutting ceremonies. We even had one of our guests would invite them to a ribbon cutting ceremony when they repainted a gym or when they put new LED lights. They didn't have to, don't think of a ribbon cutting ceremony as only when you're building a massive facility from the ground up. You can invite people there when you're just maybe doing a splash pad or a playground or just planting trees. Just celebrate the work y'all are doing and invite the stakeholders that you're down the road going to be asking for funding. Involve them in the whole process. And a lot of this, we feel like we can play our part as the Daily Parks and Rec Show is helping you have very robust social media presence, like Nick did, having 10,000 people on his Facebook page. That's critical. And I think if you're looking, so there's the difference. Let's pause on this. Let me draw a little fence around this thing. How many of you have 10,000 Facebook followers on your Parks and Rec page? It's very few. I know this. If you are, congrats. You're doing an awesome job. But if you're going to survive on your own and you've got zero tax dollars coming, you got to raise awareness. And Nick's, out of necessity, has to have very successful social media outreach, even though they're a little bitty park. If they don't get the word out and they don't get park attendance, then they just cannot afford to pay the light bills. And so that's a great example of showing how important social media is, how important community engagement is, because it's the lifeblood of a park department that does not have the luxury of tax funding at all. And so I think we can take that lesson and run with it, that we should all be growing our social media presence and getting the community plugged in to what Parks and Rec is doing. And so let us know if we can help you with that at all. If not, just take these lessons and implement them the way you can. Even if it's just incrementally, spend $200 to $300 to $400 or $500 or $1,000 a month on social media and hand this to someone in your department as a part-time job. Don't let social media just be a 1 or 2 hour commitment that 10 people do, and they're all kind of in different areas and they're all posting on the social media platform. I think that's a very disconnected way, and you end up spending a lot of time spread out over a lot of different people. And I think what a lot of departments need is just focus. You need one purpose, one person to just their purpose is to focus on social media and to gather from all the different departments what needs to be communicated out and how it needs to be communicated, when it needs to be communicated, and they understand at a deeper level how these social media platforms work, because they're super techy and the algorithm's constantly changing. So it's best to have one person earmarked for that in your department. Whether you're working with someone like us, we can provide a person that would sit in your city remotely and put in 20 hours a week, 10 hours a week, or even full time a 40-hour-a-week position just to hammer on social media, getting the word out. And this, and we can work with you for as little as, $500-600 a month to have a part-time social media person working in your city or for your city. So if that sounds good to you, reach out to us. Let us know what we can do to help. We've got a great, let me see who we got scheduled for tomorrow. I was supposed to take tomorrow off because of this Atlanta trip, but I don't think there's any such thing as a day off. So Joseph Heim is tomorrow and Michael Patton is on Friday. Those are our 2 interviews coming up. So don't miss that. 12 noon Eastern every day. This is Craig LeBlanc with the Daily Parks and Rec Show. We will see y'all here again tomorrow. Y'all have try to stay warm. I know there's a lot of freezing going on, and y'all be safe. Love you guys. Bye.
When you invest in our high-performance LED sports arena lights, you're not just upgrading your facilities, you're helping us illuminate the untold stories of parks and recreation communities. Every purchase directly supports the Daily Parks and Rec Show, a media platform on a mission to celebrate the heart and soul of our local parks and programs. From after-school activities to summer leagues, these spaces shape lives, and their stories deserve to be told. Why your support matters. Capturing community impact. Your contribution helps us assemble a talented team of digital artists, storytellers, and filmmakers to create compelling videos, articles, and short films that spotlight how Parks and Rec programs change lives. Sharing untold stories. From a child's first home run to lifelong friendships forged on the court, we'll document these priceless moments and share them with the world. Inspiring the next generation. By highlighting the joy, inclusivity, and opportunities found in our parks, we foster a deeper appreciation for these vital community spaces. Light up arenas, brighten futures. Your choice to install LED sports arena lights isn't just a smart investment in energy efficiency and performance, it's an investment in stories that deserve to be told. Be part of the story. Take action today. Purchase LED sports arena lights and help us shine a spotlight on the heartwarming stories that define our parks and communities. Contact us now to learn more about our products and how your support fuels the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Together, we'll shine a light on the moments that matter most.